Hi, everybody. This is Seth, Head of Operations here at QUOINE, calling in from our new corporate headquarters here in the Edo Grand Building in Tokyo. And this evening, we are joined by Leo Ameri, who is CEO and founder of the Elysian project. Leo, welcome.
Thanks, Seth. Thanks for having me here. I'm very happy about this AMA to get people familiar with our project, to answer all the questions. Yeah, very happy about it.
Great. So, right, that is some big news we have to share with our community, as well as with the Elysian community, that from next week on June the 20th, we are going to be partnering with Elysian to execute on the ICO for the ELY token. So that will start on the 20th. We're very excited. The landing page is already up where people can start learning about the project. And, tonight, Leo and I, we're going to discuss, all sorts of the project as well as the ICO mechanics. So before we get started on Elysian and the token and ICO, et cetera, I'd like to start, Leo, so we can learn a little bit more about yourself. We know from your accent you're not from the U.S. Tell us where you're from and where you grew up and maybe some of your background before you got involved with Elysian.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's correct. I'm originally from Iran, but I spent most of my life in Germany, which is why I have the mixed accent. So what I did basically before Elysian, I was coaching like people in e-commerce to help them achieve better results with their e-commerce stores, meaning like I work with several different individuals and businesses, helping them to really understand the e-commerce industry, how to, like, the reason for that is many people don't know that. I have to mention that there are so many different e-commerce stores out there, and people a lot of time thinks it's just like maybe eBay, Amazon and stuff like that, but the reality is there are like thousands of different e-commerce stores generating millions every single month. So yeah, I had basically the chance to help those businesses and individuals, which put me in a really good position to really understand the e-commerce industry, to understand why, like, other, like, let's say some individuals were struggling to sell a few products while others were making millions with the exact same products.
Right.
Yeah, I mentioned that a lot of times, and that's why for me it was great to really learn and understand what is needed to achieve better results. What is right now currently, like, let's say, causing the e-commerce industry problems, basically.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So that's basically what I was doing before Elysian, until like approximately was, I think, last summer, where we decided to start working on Elysian. Yeah, and this is how basically Elysian started, because I just felt like it's time to connect the e-commerce industry with the blockchain industry.
Got it. So, I think that's one of the great things here is that you've brought your experience pre-blockchain, and you're now launching an ecosystem that's blockchain based on, your learnings and consulting with many different companies. Reading your background, I can see you've worked with many different organizations to improve their e-commerce activities. So Leo, do you remember the first time you actually used cryptocurrency, either Bitcoin or any other currency?
Yeah, like before using it, I remember how I read for the first time about something back then called Bitcoin in an article, and I just felt like this is amazing. The reason for that is because, connecting it to the e-commerce industry again is like that. I just felt this, what everyone knows, that what Bitcoin is basically trying to do is eliminating like third-party intermediaries and enabling microtransactions. So for me, when I read the first time about it, I was like, I have to get involved, which is like how I started to find a platform where I can purchase my first Bitcoin. And it was just like so interesting, and was pretty happy once that happened. So yeah, that was my first experience and the first time I purchased Bitcoin. Back in around 2014.
Okay, and do you still have it, or have you spent it, or what's going
on? No, like most of it obviously spent, but I do still hold a little bit of it. But yeah, most of it for me was spent basically, in the past.
Okay, yeah, I spent most of my Bitcoin on a trip I took. I wasted the rest. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
I think before you go ahead, I think it's a problem for most of the people because I mean, thanks God I was not one of those who purchased for like 10,000 Bitcoin a piece of pizza, but yeah, I think a lot of problems had a lot of people had the issue that they spent Bitcoin instead of holding it.
right. So, at what point in your career as a consultant, working with different organizations on their e-commerce platforms, did you? What was sort of the aha moment where you thought, hey, wait a second, we can solve a lot of these problems using blockchain and distributed ledgers, and sort of set you on the path to start Elysian?
No, so while I was doing that, basically I was reading here and there about, over and over again our cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and just basically using those, using Bitcoin or any other currency. I didn't feel like, okay, I have to change it and really get involved in it, to the moment where I felt like, reading more about like data breaches. I mean, I guess you have heard that with, like, let's say with all those bigger companies, Equifax, recently Facebook, right? So whenever I read that in the past, and I just felt like also because a lot of my clients, they had the same issue, like credit card theft and stuff like that. And I just felt like, okay, there must be a solution, because you can imagine it's very frustrating. A lot of times, for example, e-commerce store owners send, let's say, products out, and then they get like issue that the credit card issuer ask for a refund from the bank, and people lose their money sending out the product and losing actually funds to the hacker or to the person who basically did this kind of things to the e-commerce store owner. So once it happened over and over and over again, I just felt at one point like there must be some sort of solution for that, right? So, and then last year in summer, I just felt like, okay, I have to stop everything else I was working on to basically build that idea, build that team, and like put the team together. And this is how we started last year with the team. To basically start Elysian, think about the ideas. It took us a long time before we really go public and talk about the project, because we just want to make sure that everything is on point before we start marketing it or stuff like that, because some people might think like, okay, they just started hearing about us like maybe 2 months ago. But yeah, this is basically the moment last year in summer where I felt like, okay, we have to find a solution. And it's just not, also maybe one more thing to add to it, it's not just the security, also the user experience. Like a lot of times right now, because in the future we are trying to, maybe we can talk about that later, about the VR and AI integration. So it's a problem I see right now with the e-commerce industry, because as you know, there is not such, most of the stores basically have just like different designs, and that's pretty much it. So it's very limited in terms of like the user experience, just different colors, just different designs, and that's pretty much it. So that's why I felt like those two key things is very important to connect and to really improve the e-commerce industry.
Sure. So what are some of the big problems that you are solving with the Elysian ecosystem and with the ELY token?
Yeah, so basically the first thing is obviously, as just mentioned, with the security aspect. Our token is the ERC20 token. But in the future, we are transiting to the POI network. It's a sidechain on the Ethereum network. It's a private blockchain to improve the security. Obviously, it wouldn't work on a public blockchain. So this basically being said, this is why we use the blockchain for, like what we use it for, the private one, to improve the security. And with our token, basically, and on our platform in the future, we will making it possible that people can actually use any token, our token, to purchase any goods on any e-commerce store hosted on the Elysian platform. So basically, that's what we're trying to do.
Got it. And where do you think there's some sort of efficiencies that are being gained by creating storefronts on the Elysian platform and using cryptocurrencies or LE token for the purchasing? What sort of benefits from consumers or from the e-commerce merchants that are participating?
Okay, so one very important aspect is, for example, currently when you use e-commerce stores as a seller or buyer, you pay a lot of fees, for example, as a seller. So that means a lot of people don't know that, but you pay transaction fees, credit card fees, like a lot of different fees, listing fees, product fees, and sometimes people even pay like the PayPal fees. So that's a big issue right now in the industry. And by using basically our platform, we are definitely trying to make sure that the fees are fair, that it really is possible for sellers, if they sell a product for $10, that they keep most of it. So that it's like that it really makes sense, rather than like they sell something for $10, maybe lose $5 in transaction fees. So that's one of the advantages by using our platform, because many of our competitors basically have very high fees. This is so one important thing we are trying to solve, one important aspect. And on the other side, by using our token, our platform, people can actually, we are building an entire ecosystem around it. So that means like we will have a lot of different utility use cases for our token, meaning when people, let's say, as an example, to give you one important example, if you as a store owner maybe hold X amount of Ellie, you get it actually, you don't have to pay any subscription fees for host, like having the store. So that means like obviously it would be in your best interest to hold those, like basically, let's say as an example, 100 Ellie, to not have to pay every single month those store fees. So that would be a very big utility use case for our token. And there are obviously much more where you, for example, can hold again XLE to, for example, get access to different pieces, like let's say places within the e-commerce store. So yeah, like we will build a lot of different use cases around the token to make sure that it really makes sense to hold or to really use our token, Ellie.
Sure. And what are some can you describe maybe a user journey for participating or purchasing a good or service using an LE token, including the wallet, and what sort of merchants do you think are going to be part of the platform in the early stages?
Okay, so about, let's say, mentioning the mobile wallet, that's one of the things in the future, right after the TGE, we want to basically make sure we get developed. Make this, talking about the user experience, the mobile wallet basically we are creating will make sure that people don't have to sign up on all the different e-commerce stores, which is currently the case, right? When you sign up like on one e-commerce store, you have to sign up on the second one. So by really creating this mobile wallet, we want to try to make sure that you sign one time up and you can use it for all the e-commerce stores on our platform. So that means if you, let's say, have X amount of LE within your mobile wallet, you can actually go to any of those stores and use those coins without always signing up again and again and again. So that's one of the very important aspects of the mobile wallet. And for the, in terms of like the businesses, for example, early stages, launching on our platform, we have several different e-commerce stores. We will actually announce something about it in a few days. About it, so that recently we partnered up basically with a very interesting company, which will make sure that over 20 bigger e-commerce stores will launch on our platform in the near future. And obviously from there we will scale. From my past, I have several clients which generated plus 1 million in revenue, which will switch to our platform as soon as it's developed. So we already have interested businesses who want to launch on our platform, and obviously in the future the goal is to get more and more businesses interested to launch on our platform.
Are there particular industries that are interested in setting up on the Elysian network, like VR companies or merchandise, or are you seeing certain pickup in particular industries?
Mentioning the VR aspect, maybe to just explain it very shortly. Because this is very interesting. A lot of times when people hear for the first time about our project and they hear all these words like VR integration, AR integration, they maybe think like, okay, they just write it as a buzzword to get more attention. But the reality is, in our case, we are working with, like, let's say in our case, we had an announcement that we partnered up with Capacity, which is another blockchain project. And what they basically doing is like enabling 3D/VR solutions for e-commerce businesses, which is an amazing partnership, because obviously we can really make sure that this partnership makes sense in terms of like that we can use their technology to give businesses an opportunity to enable those VR and 3D solutions when they sell products online, specifically sell products on our platform. So a lot of times people get confused and think like, oh, we want to create all those different things, but our goal is to create an ecosystem where other projects work together with us on those solutions, basically providing us with their technology for those different aspects. That's why we call it an integration, a VR integration or AR integration. And yeah, basically this is what we have in mind for the VR aspect, for instance.
Sure. So you mentioned earlier that the ecosystem is actually going to be as a private blockchain. So that's really interesting. And I've always thought that that's the way the real ecosystems are actually going to take hold, because we all know the limitations of public blockchains. And, while there's some outlandish claims out there, for the most part, the transactions per second doesn't support real world use cases. So tell me about your thinking about using a private blockchain, and how will the nodes work, and how does acceptance as a node, how is that obtained?
Yeah, so I totally agree on that, because also obviously with having a public blockchain, let's say on the Ethereum network, paying maybe those gas fees, let's say if someone wants to connect the blockchain to their business or however, like if for every single transaction they would have to pay the gas fees, right? So in reality, it's not really that doable. So which was the reason why we thought it's clear for us to make sure that we use the private blockchain in the future. And for us, the solution is that by having basically the chance to not pay those fees, the gas fees, it's possible to store the data of the customers on the private blockchain, because obviously it's much better security than the current solutions we have in the industry. Because right now the reality is like that a lot of the e-commerce giants, they use basically a normal server where they host the data on, so it's centralized, right? So which is a big issue when in terms of let's say it gets hacked, all the data gets basically hacked, right? So by using the decentralized way, we make sure that that won't be possible, which is why we for us the private blockchain is the perfect solution. And I think, in my personal opinion, that a lot of businesses will go this route in the future, as you just mentioned. So yeah, this is how I feel about it.
Sure. Okay, so tell us about what are some of what the major milestones. The roadmap is actually published on the LEICO dedicated landing page at QRYPTOS.com, but maybe you can share for us maybe some of the big things that are coming up, and maybe even some hints at some things that you haven't officially announced just yet.
Yeah, so our two big major milestones for this year are basically that we are trying to make sure that we get the mobile wallet and the actual platform developed. These will be the two major milestones. Saying mobile wallet, maybe I can explain people also the integration with QUOINE in the future, that we will basically allow people. It's a very basically also in case some people might ask themselves, why do we actually launch our TGE on your platform? It's not just that we launched the TGE. So you guys basically know the reason behind it is because we want to make sure that in the future we will give people on the QUOINE platform the opportunity to create an account on the Elysian platform using the mobile wallet, to actually give their funds on the QUOINE platform a real use case like scenario. That means like people who are trading on the QUOINE platform can actually use their funds and directly purchase goods online, especially on our platform in the future. So the more businesses we have on our platform in the future, the more use cases for all those people who are having actually a QUOINE account. So in my opinion, it's a very strong aspect, because we all know that the cryptocurrency industry really needs that, really needs real use applications, right? Like real word application, so that's why I think it's a great partnership. And I think by hosting our TG on your platform to start with. It's a great use case that people actually get familiar with both projects, your project and our project. So yeah, that's what I'm very excited about. So to get that mobile wallet done as soon as possible to actually really start all those things for the future e-commerce
Sure.
platform, the Elysian platform.
And that's right. And that's obviously something that we're very interested in as well, to help adoption in the mainstream of the usage of cryptocurrency and finding real use cases for these innovations. And I see a clear path of doing that with Elysian on your e-commerce platform. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about what the ICO looks like. Maybe first of all, you can share a little bit of your thinking process of using the ICO market and the ICO mission control. What are some of the benefits you see for the project as well as the participants in the ICO?
Yeah, obviously another reason why we chose to work with you guys is because our entire team believes in what you guys are doing, and for us that was one of the major reasons why we decided to go this road, to really host our entire TG on your platform, because you guys are doing a great job, a great team, and that was for us important in terms of like any aspect. For obviously for investors it's important to enjoy the best solution in terms of security when they are like investing in projects, or like let's say having their funds on your platform, however. So that's why it was a clear decision for us to actually start hosting our TG on your platform for this future partnership, especially for this future partnership.
Sure. So let's talk about some of the mechanics. So the sale is actually going to kick off on June the 20th. And it's actually going to run until July the 8th. Mm-hmm. And tokens are being offered at a fixed exchange rate of 1 Ethereum for 5,000 ELYs. The sale is actually going to be in 3 phases. The first phase will run from the 20th to the 25th with a 50% bonus. So, Leo, tell us a little bit about your thinking process about how you structured the ICO in this manner, about the number of tokens available for sale, and what will happen, post the sale completion.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, that's also a question a lot of people ask us already. So maybe it's important to cover that here as well, to make sure that everyone really understands the reasoning behind our structure. First of all, we are selling 23% of our total supply. A lot of people think a lot of times, okay, what is the reason why it's so low? Also, let's say so less tokens are getting sold. The reason for that is we have something we call it our growth pool, which is basically that 35% of our tokens are being held for this growth pool, which is that it's something basically to improve the entire project. So it's a lot of times people think like, oh, maybe it's for the team, or maybe it's for like just not for the community. But that's not the case. It's 100% for the community, to add really value to the project, and to use those tokens to really make sure that we add actually value to the project. Because a lot of times, in my opinion, at least, I see that a lot of projects, for example, sell 80% of their total supply. And in my opinion, it doesn't really make sense, because if you just release more tokens that people are not getting upset or disappointed, it just doesn't make sense, because those tokens lose value. So in my opinion, it makes more sense to use those tokens to really, some sort of add value to the project. What I mean by that, to maybe give an example, some people might be familiar with the Dash project. They have something called Dash Central. That's where they do it as well, where they really have an entire ecosystem around it, where people vote for specific decisions, and if it gets approved by the community, specific person or idea gets funded to improve the entire ecosystem in the project. And that's why we decided to allocate 350 million tokens to that growth pool. So just to make clear, it's not for us, not for the team, it's for the project, for the community. And yeah, for the structure, as you just mentioned, we have basically now for the main TGE 3 different stages, with a 50% bonus for the first week, a 25% bonus for the second week, and for the last week it's a 0% bonus. And yeah, basically that's the structure behind the TGE. And yeah, that's why we thought like this is the best road to do it, in terms of like, yeah, not releasing just tokens, to really keep the tokens to add value to the project.
Sure. So for those who are not already aware, the LE tokens can be purchased on our ICO marketplace. You can just go over to QRYPTOS.com. That's QRYPTOS.com, and just scroll down from the main page, and you'll see the tile for the LE project, and you'll be able to learn all about the sale, and even click a button to join the ICO. The KYC and the onboarding process is really very streamlined. We've done a huge amount of effort to make that as fast as possible for people. So as long as you're submitting your government issued ID and a clear selfie and a proof of address, we actually are seeing that people are getting registered in 1 minute or less. So we're really excited to welcome the Elysian community and other key stakeholders and investors in ELY. So the next question I had for you, Leo, was, something that always comes up. When are you going to get listed? So the sale is actually ending on July the 8th. What is the plans as they stand today to actually transition from the token generation event and the public ICO to secondary trading on the exchange?
Yeah, the timeline is basically, let's say when the TG ends on the 8th, basically that we just like a week after that would already be like our token would be tradable on the QRYPTOS platform already, just 7 days after that. So yeah, that's a straightforward like plan that, because a lot of times obviously people ask us those questions like, hey, when are you getting listed and stuff like that. So yeah, basically this is the goal, to be on the 15th on the QRYPTOS platform.
Yeah. And so that's what, I wanted to speak to the entire community. We believe very strongly in the Elysian project, and we're really excited to host it on the platform. We did an extensive amount of due diligence on the team and the project and economics, and we couldn't be more excited. So Leo, I want to thank you again for joining us and telling the story of Elysian. And we're really excited to see the ICO kick off soon. And hopefully at some point we'll have some major announcements we can share with the community, including more details about the partnership between QUOINE and Elysian. But we can save that for another AMA later on down the road. But it's Friday night here, so I want to thank you very much. And any final parting words for everybody here?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, obviously, thanks everyone for the great support so far. And yeah, we are super happy to list our TG on the QRYPTOS platform this upcoming, I think it's Wednesday, if I'm not wrong, on the 20th of June. And yeah, for sure, like hopefully we can have a future AMA to discuss those details regarding the partnership and how we want to work on the integration. And one last thing is that also obviously we guys will connect the QRYPTOS platform on our website within the next few days, so that you guys, when you try to visit the QRYPTOS main landing page, you can also do it over our website by just clicking the buy tokens button. So yeah, that's it.
Great. All right, Leo, thank you very much. And awesome. We'll see you on Wednesday when the ICO kicks off.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.